So you're making a level, but you want to polish it and make it cool. You want it to stand out from the rest. Well, this video will cover asset modification and a few little tricks that I find cool. First, we are going to be covering asset modding. It's pretty straightforward, it just requires you to name your files correctly and put them in the right places. Let's modify the checkpoint sprite. In VED, click the Assets button. This brings you to the Assets screen, where you can find the Assets folder button. Click on it once to create the Assets folder for this level, and then click it again to open it. Then, in a separate window, you'll want to find where the game is installed, and open up the data.zip file beside the executable. These are the default game assets. Find the asset you want to modify, then copy it to your level assets folder in the same path. For example, we want to modify the checkpoint sprite, so we'll copy over sprites.png, which is in the graphics folder. We'll want to make a graphics folder in our level assets folder, and then copy the sprites.png file over. We could also copy over flip-sprites.png, which is used for flip mode, but people tend to ignore flip mode because it isn't used very often. Now we edit the file. Keep in mind that sprites are on a 32 by 32 pixel grid. Let's modify the checkpoints to look like they used to in the prototype. Now if we launch the game and open the level, you'll see that the checkpoint sprite has changed properly. However, you'll notice that it didn't change in VED. We'll just press F11 to reload assets, and suddenly it changes to the correct sprite. Modifying sounds works the same way, just make sure they're the correct file name. Music is a bit special. Music is stored in a file called VVVVVVmusic.vvv. You can create those through VED. Back in the Assets screen, click on the Music Editor. Here you can import your music by pressing the Load button next to the slot you would like to insert the music into. When you are done importing your songs, press the Save button and make sure the music file is named exactly VVVVVVmusic.vvv. Now if we play the song in game, it works properly. Now we'll talk about various advanced tricks you can do. The first trick is changing the sprite of any checkpoint or terminal to any other sprite. Right-click the entity, select Properties, and modify the box labeled P1. You can input a number to change the sprite. To figure out which number you need to input, open up the Assets menu and click the Graphics button. Keep in mind that if you don't have a modified sprites.png, you'll have to load the vanilla one, which you can get from the data.zip file. Load the sprites.png and you'll see the sprites. Each sprite here has an index. The first is 0, next is 1, next is 2, etc, etc. You can view the index of a sprite by hovering over it and looking at the yellow number in the bottom right. The number you input into the P1 box is offset by the original sprite of the entity. The terminal is a little special and swaps around 0 and 1, but anything else is fair game. Let's say we want a terminal to look like a trinket. We go to the trinket, see its index 22, subtract 16 from it, since that's the base sprite of the terminal, and we end up with 6. So we enter that into the P1 box, and now our terminal looks like a trinket. Did you know you can lock gravity lines? If you don't want them to change after changing the tiles around it, you can right-click the gravity line and click Lock. Now the gravity line won't respond to any room changes. The next thing is a few useful VED hotkeys. Holding down J shows the tile types. The white crosses mean they're solid tiles, and the red crosses are spike hitboxes. There's also yellow, which are tiles that are solid in invincibility, but non-solid outside of it. Holding N shows the tile numbers. Holding down F9 shows shortcuts, and you can view a list of all shortcuts in VED's help section. In the next video, we will be covering scripting, so stay tuned. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you have any suggestions, please leave them in the comments. Thank you.